The Cuban Missile Crisis of October 1962 was a direct and dangerous confrontation during the Cold War between the US and the Soviet Union, and was the moment the two superpowers came closest to nuclear conflict. After the failed attempt of the US to overthrow the regime in Cuba with the Bay of Pigs invasion, in July 1962, Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev reached a secret agreement with Cuba to place Soviet nuclear missiles within Cuba to prevent the occurrence of any future invasion attempts. Although several construction sites began in late summer, the U.S. discovered evidence of a Soviet arms buildup on Cuba. After their discovery, President John F. Kennedy issued a public warning against the production of offensive weapons into Cuba. Despite this very public warning, in October 1962, an American U-2 spy plane photographed nuclear missile sites being built by the Soviet Union in Cuba. After many long and difficult meetings, President Kennedy ordered a naval blockade on Cuba. The same day, Kennedy also sent a letter to Khrushchev declaring that the U.S. would not permit offensive weapons to be delivered to Cuba and demanded that the Soviets dismantle the missile bases and return all offensive weapons to the USSR. This letter sent was among the first in a series of communications sent between the White House and Kremlin throughout the remainder of the crisis. On October 24th, Khrushchev responded to Kennedy saying that the U.S. blockade was considered an act of aggression, and the Soviet ships bound to Cuba would be ordered to proceed. Nevertheless, some ships turned back while others were allowed to proceed, and meanwhile, flights over Cuba indicated the Soviet missile sites were nearing operational readiness. Within this time, U.S. forces were placed at DEFCON 2, meaning war involving Strategic Air Command was imminent. By October 26, it appeared that only a U.S. attack against Cuba would remove missiles, but Kennedy insisted on giving the diplomatic channel more time. That same afternoon, the crisis took a dramatic turn when Khrushchev sent a message to Kennedy that raised the specter of nuclear holocaust and offered resolution. Hope for resolution was short-lived when on October 27th, Khrushchev sent another message indicating any proposed deal must include the removal of U.S. missiles from Turkey. That night, ignoring the second letter sent by Khrushchev, President Kennedy proposed steps for removal of Soviet missiles from Cuba with the guarantee that the U.S. would not attack Cuba. The next morning, October 28th, Khrushchev issued a public statement that the missiles would be dismantled, then removed from Cuba. Although the crisis was over, the naval blockade remained until the Soviets removed their Il-28 bombers from Cuba. The Cuban Missile Crisis serves as an event that came with unique results with importance for both Kennedy and history itself. The crisis had helped strengthen Kennedy's image domestically and internationally, while also helping lessen negative world opinions regarding the failed Bay of Pigs invasion. Perhaps the most valuable lessons learned came from Kennedy and Khrushchev as they struggled throughout the crisis to understand each other's true intentions, while the world stood by on the brink of possible nuclear war. The crisis further proved the importance of communication, for without communication, the Cuban Missile Crisis could have resulted in nuclear war and the loss of millions of lives.